Yesterday was the birthday of the President. To mark the President's birthday, a foundation stone was laid yesterday for the construction of a new bridge to replace the aged-old culverts located on the access road to Anukkahena village that comes under the purview of the Panduasnuwara East Divisional Secretariat. This event not only adds more light to the celebrations to mark the President's birthday, but can also be considered as one that was aimed to win the hearts of the people of Anukkahena. On the 3rd of December 2012, Action TV exposed an attempt to act arbitrarily by a group of state officers and local politicians casting aside the people's mandate. Under the 2012 program, One Task for One Village, the Anukkahena Council passed a motion to utilize the 1 million rupees allocated for the village for the renovation of this road or its culverts. However, a group of state officials and a local politician attempted to construct a Gram Niladhari office for the village utilizing these funds. As the attempt reached a level beyond control, two locals stepped forward to contribute 15 purchases each from their private lands for the construction of the Gram Niladhari office. However, the persons with the administrative and political knowledge to perform this task had passed a plan and funds for the construction of the Gram Niladhari office at the building of the Anukkahena Primary School, which was abandoned. The funds that were allocated also saw money being set aside for a roof at a time when the roof of the building was in a good condition. Although the locals were assertive enough to question this, the Divisional Secretariat did not heed the words of the people.
मैडम මේක අපේ අයිතිවාසිකම मैडम දෙකට බෑ කියන්න බෑ මේ අපේ ඉන්න දේශපාලන මට්ටමේ අය
The politicians are not working for us. They are acting as they please. This has no relevance to the development of the village nor the area.
Sadly, the result of these attempts led to the sum of 1 million rupees that was allocated for the Anukkahena village being redirected to the Ministry of Economic Development.
We put forward a proposal to continue with the project. However, that was amended according to the needs of a local politician. He misused the funds that were provided. If not for Action TV, this bridge would have never been constructed. We are thankful to Sirasa.
The Anukkahena villagers indeed clearly highlighted that citizen participation is not to merely accept what is given and to do nothing no matter what happens. They are an example to the nation.
In more local news, United National Party parliamentarian Sujeeva Senasinghe met with the people of Colombo North yesterday.
The Urban Development Authority has informed the people living in the 318 Batta in Totalangan, North Colombo to move into the housing complex that was constructed in the Henamulla area. However, some area residents state that they are unable to leave the houses they are currently residing in and move into the newly constructed housing complex as there is inadequate space in the said housing complex.
So far, not a single household has been served justice. They have issued a number and they have handed out forms, and all of a sudden their next step is to tell us to leave these houses. They must either give us some time beforehand or they must do justice to us. We are not saying we cannot leave. We will go if this is settled properly and if we are given proper houses in a proper location. We will not go into that camp.
These houses contain 350 to 390 square feet each. These are small houses. The individuals living in these areas do not have enough space to keep their furniture and other items inside these houses. We ask the authorities to do justice to these people. I must especially mention that these houses have only 2 purchases each. During the time of late Ranasinghe Premadasa, houses of 700, 800, 900 and even 1,200 square feet were given to people. These individuals do not object moving into houses similar to those houses, but the people must be done justice.
Bilateral relations with India and the threat of terrorism in the country were among the topics that came up at the weekly media briefing of the Media Centre of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development today.
අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තුල ත්‍රස්තවාදය
Although we have defeated terrorism in Sri Lanka, it was only armed terrorism that was defeated. While armed terrorism was defeated, there are still secessionists in various locations. They could be within Sri Lanka as well. It is certainly clear that they exist outside of Sri Lanka. They speak about it openly. There are groups in foreign countries which have said they will not turn back until a separate state has been created within Sri Lanka. There could be groups within Sri Lanka which are sponsored by them. Nevertheless, the army will never allow for the people to be deprived of the freedom to spend time freely in Sri Lanka.
නිදහසේ කල්ගත කිරීමට තිබෙන මේ අවස්ථාව අහිමි කිරීමට නම් ආරක්ෂක හමුදාවන් ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Views were also expressed regarding joint military exercises with India.
මිත්‍ර ශක්ති නමින් යුද අභ්‍යාසයක්
The Sri Lankan and Indian armies are conducting a joint military exercise under the name Mitra Shakti. The exercises were held in India in 2012. The military exercises commenced in Kudahoya on the 3rd of this month. It will conclude in Hambantota on the 23rd of this month. More than 40 Indian special forces and commando personnel are participating in the exercises. As a whole, 200 personnel from the Sri Lankan security forces are participating.
The 44th National Day of the Sultanate of Oman was celebrated in Sri Lanka yesterday.
The event held in Colombo yesterday was graced by a distinguished gathering including a number of parliamentarians.
I take this opportunity to look back at the excellent relationship between Sultanate of Oman and Sri Lanka, which is actually centuries old and dates back when Omani sailors visited Sri Lanka on trade missions. And this human exchange continued afterwards. Oman shares many principles with Sri Lanka regarding its relations with other nations, such as the call for peace and mutual coexistence between all peoples, non-interference in the internal affairs of other nations, and mutual respect for national sovereignty. Oman and Sri Lanka are members of IORC, in which they work together to achieve their goals.
With the opening of the Embassy of the Sultanate of Oman in Colombo on 27 February 2013, cordial relations between the two countries have been further strengthened. Currently, Sri Lanka and Oman enjoy close and cordial relations based on mutual respect and understanding of each other.
Honorary Consul General of the Republic of Latvia in Sri Lanka says that without peaceful societies, countries cannot achieve sustainable development. He made this statement during the 96th National Day of the Republic of Latvia, which was celebrated in Sri Lanka yesterday.
The occasion saw the participation of a distinguished gathering including several ministers and parliamentarians.
Thank you for coming. Thank you very much for coming. There is no alternative to an international order based on the rule of law, democracy and respect for human rights that would provide the basis for long-lasting peace and security. Peace and security are both enablers of sustainable development and objectives in their own right. Without peaceful societies, we cannot achieve sustainable development. Each country has its own responsibility for achieving that goal. Our societies need honest and accountable governments who protect them from violence and crime and ensure fundamental freedoms and sustainable economic growth.
A group of Democratic Party members were attacked in the Nitambua town this evening by a certain group while collecting signatures for a public petition demanding the reinstatement of party leader Sarath Fonseca's civic rights. Speaking to Newsfirst a short while ago, Sarath Fonseca elaborated.
Members of my party and some of our provincial council members, they started on a project in order to get 10 lakhs of signatures protesting against the cancellation of my franchise. They were doing this for last couple of days. They started from Kandy. Today they had arrived at Nitambua. When they were getting signatures of the people at Nitambua, the thugs and the criminals who are under the leadership of Nitambua local council chairman. They have come to this location, assaulted our party members, they assaulted the provincial council members, they damaged the vehicles, they destroyed our cameras, they destroyed the books in which we had taken the signatures of the people, and behaved in a disgraceful manner. And 2 of our provincial council members were seriously injured. They had to go to the hospital and get treatment. The police were watching this. They could not do anything. They were helpless. We have lodged complaints in the police station. This is the culture acceptable and administered by the ruler of this country. We consider this as a disgraceful situation, and we condemn this. And we expect the people in this country also to condemn this cowardice act.
Now, when News First made inquiries from police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana, he said that complaints have been lodged with regard to this evening's attack on the Democratic Party members. He added that the Democratic Party and the chairman of the Athanagala Pradeshya Sabha had lodged complaints over the incident.
On to other local news, Cycling Tour 2014, Volunteering to Make a Difference. A project initiated by the United Nations Volunteers Program in Sri Lanka was launched in Colombo today. News First is the media partner for the tour. The cycling tour is supported by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Skills Development, the Ministry of Social Services, UN agencies, volunteer-involving organizations, youth-led organizations and News First will contribute to the advocacy efforts to strengthen youth volunteering for peace and development in Sri Lanka.
This cycling tour would have not been possible without the active support that we have received from our partners and supporters. We are really happy of the outcome of this partnership, and it's a testimony of how volunteerism can be a way to address so many cross-cutting issues concerning sustainable development. And we really hope that this will be a first activity, but certainly not the last of this kind.
A group of 20 volunteers will be cycling for 2 weeks starting from Adabachia, leading through several locations including Anuradhapura in the North Central Province, Putlam in the Northwestern Province and end in Colombo on the West Coast on the 5th of December with the celebration of International Volunteer Day. An age-old question that many philosophers, scientists and theologians have always pondered upon is the question of our origin. Yesterday, an announcement was made that organic molecules were detected on the surface of the planet, bringing hope that maybe we are a step closer to answer the question who we are and how did we become.
Carbon-containing organics are the basis of life on Earth and may give clues to chemical ingredients delivered to our planet early in its history. The compounds were picked up by a German-built instrument designed to sniff the comet's thin atmosphere. It has not been disclosed which molecules have been found or how complex they are, but the results are likely to provide insights into the possible role of comets in contributing some of the chemical building blocks to the primordial mix from which life evolved on the early Earth. The Rosetta mission is a cornerstone mission to travel around the orbit and land on a comet launched on the 2nd of March 2004, becoming the first spacecraft to orbit a comet. One of the original official principal investigators on the Rosetta mission, Professor Chanda Wickramasinghe, says that data which has come out of the Rosetta mission is a complete proof of the idea that comets carry life and may lead the way to answer the question of our origin.
This has been a prediction of the theory of cometary panspermia that I have been advocating for nearly 3 decades. From around 1980, the late Sir Fred Hoyle and I proposed the theory that comets contain life in the form of microorganisms, and this is essentially a prediction of that theory, that we have the materials that result from the breakup of bacteria, from the degradation of bacteria at the surface of comets like Comet CG, the one that's been recently studied. I think the red rain of Sri Lanka was a cometary injection from a comet. So this kind of material, the red rain cells and other living cells, are present in comets. And I think evidence for such living cells would be what we should look forward to. I think the data that is coming out of this Rosetta mission is complete proof of the idea that comets carry life in the form of bacteria and maybe red rain cells. The idea that comets distribute life throughout the solar system and onto the Earth, and this is what is really very exciting.
Now moving on to sports news. The fourth stage of examining applications for the Sports First Mobitel Platinum Awards was held at the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. Over 5,000 applications have been received for the Sports First Mobitel Platinum Awards, which will felicitate Sri Lankan sportsmen and women who have displayed exceptional skills nationally and internationally. Jurist Sunil Gunawardena, Susantika Jayasinghe, Damayanti Darsha, Ruan Keragala, Dilroy Fernando and Kishore Gomez participated in the fourth stage of examining applications for the awards. It's getting competitive. Our jurists are facing an extremely tough decision. We are using all available skills and are hoping to take the correct decision. The Sports First Mobitel Platinum Awards night will be held with much grandeur on the 30th of November at Stein Studios, Ratmalana.
Let's take a look at more sports news in brief.
Sri Lanka defeated South Korea in the preliminary rounds of the men's category of the beach kabaddi event 41-40 today at the 4th Asian Beach Games 2014 being held in Phuket, Thailand. In the women's category, Sri Lanka were defeated by hosts Thailand in the preliminary round 56-42. Sri Lanka failed to qualify to the final of the SAFF women's football tournament today, having been defeated at the hands of India. Sri Lanka were defeated by India in the semi-finals by a humiliating 5-0 scoreline at the Jinnah Stadium in Pakistan. Australia leads the series 2-1.
Well, that's it from all of us here at the MTV Newsfirst desk for today. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shayan Jirampati. Good night and take care.